think we'll kick off now. Welcome tonight. My name is Shifra Pierce, Fáilte Isteach Gach Éine. I am the head of School of Languages, Cultures and Linguistics here at UCD. It's lovely to see so many here tonight. It's really exciting. I'm going to talk very briefly about studying languages and linguistics at UCD. Then we'll turn to our UCD career advisor, Michelle Coen. And then there'll be a really even more fun part at the end. You'll hear from some of our former students. So don't forget, you can pop your questions into the chat as you listen the whole way through this talk, and we'll answer them at the end. So a very quick overview from me. Let's start with who we are. The University of Dublin, of College Dublin, basically is made up of 6 different colleges. And within those colleges, we are in the College of Arts and Humanities. And we are one of 7 schools in that college. And we have 6 subjects in our school. So the name of our school is Languages, Cultures and Linguistics. So let's talk first about studying modern languages, and then we'll come to linguistics afterwards. So if you come and join our school, you get this fabulous opportunity to bring your linguistic curiosity, your knowledge of language learning to a higher level. Some of you may kind of improve or perfect your favorite European languages that you're already studying. Some of you may learn 2 brand new languages from scratch to degree level. You may have native fluency or you may not, but our very best students actually do attain a very near native fluency by the end of their degree. Within our school, we teach across a range of degrees and pathways, and your school career guidance teachers are the best people to help you to choose which suits you best. But our language subjects that we offer at UCD to specialist degree level are now French, for non-beginners. We don't do beginners French, but all other subjects we do from beginners and non-beginners. So German, Italian, Spanish, and drumroll, Portuguese, which we're bringing to degree level for the first time next September. And we're really, really excited about this. It's a real innovation, and we hope it won't be across all degrees, certainly, but we're working on it right now, and we'll have way more details on that in the next few weeks. Okay, and I repeat, you can't do French at beginners level, but you can do all the other languages at beginners and non-beginners. So if you're here today, it's very possible that you already love languages. You probably have already learned at least one language, maybe from scratch when you went into secondary school or high school. And you probably already have an ability to enjoy that language. Maybe you watch films in the foreign language. Maybe you've traveled abroad if you're very lucky. Maybe you keep an eye on foreign music or politics or sports or current affairs. And you're generally kind of clued into the language or languages or language areas where your language is spoken. So I'm sure you may be curious really about how to bring your linguistic skills to the next level, which is kind of what doing a degree involves, isn't it? So there's kind of a great satisfaction in speaking a foreign language, isn't there? And not only is there the satisfaction of the linguistic ability, but it also opens a whole other world to you. And that's where we come to the word cultures, which is the second word in the name of our school, Languages, Cultures and Linguistics. So I suppose in cultural terms, by studying languages at UCD, students don't just use language to order coffee when you go abroad. That's a good start, but it's a very basic start. You actually become a mini expert in certain aspects of the countries or regions or areas in which your language is spoken. So you may learn when you're with us to read novels or poetry in foreign languages. You may focus on women in that area, post-colonial concepts, maybe minority authors is your area of interest. You will develop critical skills, close reading, analytical skills during a degree in modern languages and linguistics. In modern languages in particular, you will study films or documentaries that explore migration, transnationalism. Maybe they may question colonial legacies, historical inequalities. You will get to travel if you wish. You will get to teach or study abroad on trips. Or you may go on an extended study abroad program for a year. You could spend a year, for example, in Lisbon, Madrid, Berlin, Rome, Montreal, Paris, lots of other places. The big difference, I think, between school and university language study is that you choose to study the subject you love at university. And therefore, you get opportunities that you might actually never have dreamed of seizing or having before coming to university. It's an exciting moment. The third word in the name of the title of our school, Languages, Cultures and Linguistics, will come to now. So what is linguistics? And you'll be delighted to hear that I've a few language and linguistics students here to talk to you after Michelle and myself tonight. So languages, well, you all know what language is. We've talked about cultures. Linguistics combines both language and culture. It is essentially the science behind language. So if you take linguistics as a degree subject or as an elective at UCD, you could study things like sentence structure, that's called syntax, or you might study meaning, which is semantics, or you might study relations between words or the sounds behind language, phonetics. You may study sociolinguistics, which is kind of how social variables like social status or religion or gender or ethnicity or age or education all impact individuals and societies and how language is spoken or how we sound like we do. Okay, and as you know well, how we use a language can actually determine how successful you are, how successful a business is, or even how not to offend a stranger from a foreign country. Very important skill to cultivate. And after, and this is where I'm about to hand the podium over to Michelle Coen, our colleague from UCD Careers, because the question I'm always asked by prospective students is, what can you do with a degree in modern languages or linguistics? And what do our students do when they leave us? Well, basically, I'm a great believer in choice, and our students can do anything. They are so brilliant. They cross the world and they do amazing things when they graduate. As linguists, we kind of forget that, you know, not everyone can ever speak a foreign language. It's a precious and a special skill, and it's not open to everyone. So it is actually something that is an amazing opportunity for learning, but also for travel. When our students leave us, they go into jobs in business, in teaching, law, politics, diplomacy, translation, research, the EU, charity work. They work in the media. They run the world, essentially. You will literally see our students in all sorts of walks of life. And what they bring with them is that ability to speak in other languages and to communicate with other cultures with a wealth of richness and thought behind that conversation. You will literally hear some of our former students' stories this evening, and today is just a taster of some of the things that you might learn if you come to join us to study either modern languages or linguistics here at UCD. So for now, I'm just delighted to hand over to Michelle Coen from the UCD Career Service. And thank you all for coming tonight, and enjoy the session.
Great. Thank you very much, Shifra. Thanks. And thanks, Melanie, as well, for inviting me along. Lovely to be here this evening and to meet all of you. Looking forward to answering lots of questions towards the end. But I suppose, as Shifra mentioned, I work in UCD Careers Network. So I would work with students on a one-to-one basis where they come and talk about their career options. I also teach career development modules, and I run lots of different workshops and employer events. Because I suppose there, as Shifra mentioned, there's so much variety and choice available with your degree, that I suppose UCD employs a team of career professionals, because your I suppose career education doesn't just end when you've done your leaving cert. Many of you might come with maybe a clear career plan, no career plan, or a vague career plan. And that's perfectly okay, because we meet students exactly where they are, and I suppose help then and work throughout their time in UCD around the best options and choice for them. So that's just a little bit about how we work. So lots of support there for you when you join UCD in terms of career support. I suppose many of you joining this evening are interested and attracted to studying language because of your passion and your aptitude and your curiosity about languages and linguistics, your curiosity as well and your interest in particular cultures. So you might have visited or spent time there over the summers or in TY. So that's really great. And I suppose from a career perspective, I just wanted to give you an overview of, I suppose, the various options available to you. based on that interest and skills and aptitude that you have for languages. And I suppose the really good news is that there's huge interest from employers around graduates who have language skills and an aptitude and as I said, a skill for languages. There's a skills shortage in many areas. So across the EU and EU Commission, EU Parliament, there are shortages with Irish students entering the EU with language skills. So we're always hearing from employers, how can they, I suppose, attract and promote their opportunities to language students. So I suppose that's a very positive message. But you don't have to just take my word for it. Sinead Darcy she works in the HR department in Jameson. She's the head of the graduate recruitment program there. So they would hire up to 80 graduates a year. And 57 of those would have one or more international languages. And you can see there in her quote, language skills are gold for employers like us. So I suppose if you think of Ireland, we're an export orientated economy. So that means that 95% of the kind of products that we're producing are being exported. So that creates huge opportunities across pharmaceutical, food, energy, tech companies for people and graduates with languages who can interact and engage with all the different regions that we do business with. So, for example, Germany is the third largest market that we export to. So you can see at a glance there's going to be huge demand for people who can speak fluent German, who are either based in Ireland working with our customers in Germany or based in Germany for an Irish company. So that's just an example. And there's such a variety of roles in those type of organizations, in sales, marketing, PR, advertising, planning, logistics. So what I'd say is your choice of degree, studying language, it doesn't limit you for opportunities. If anything, it's giving you an enormous advantage and a competitive advantage at kind of recruitment stage, that you have those language skills. So you can see there when Sinead is saying, it's gold that you have those language skills immediately. So they would see it as a huge advantage. Then this is just a quote, again, just enhancing the message. It's a recent Irish Times article from last March. Huge demand, as you can see there, listing the languages. And I suppose it's, again, just highlighting where there's a demand and a demand at graduate level as well. So most companies will,
of our students, if not more, certainly have serious consideration.
That's an echo, is it from my
normal?
Oh yeah, sorry, that's okay. I thought it was someone else coming in, but it's actually my own voice coming back at me. Yeah, so I guess just Brian's quote there, it's an article that you can have a look at in the Irish Times, but again, just mentioning the different languages and the demand, I guess, which is a really good message to hear if you're thinking of embarking on that in a few years' time. When you graduate, you have a skill set that's in real high demand. So you have a great choice of opportunities available to you. As I said, the choice, choosing to study, languages or linguistics at UCD, it doesn't in any way limit your career opportunities. As I said, I would believe that it enhances and opens doors for you to marry that skill set with any area of interest that you have. And so we would have graduates working in all these different sectors. I think, for example, if you're interested in current affairs and maybe media journalism and really good writing skills, but you also have that great interest and aptitude for languages, then that's great, where you can marry those skills in a career in journalism as a foreign correspondent. Lots of opportunities, across Irish media, but also international media. Then, of course, advertising is another big one where you can, I suppose, produce content for organizations in lots of different languages. We'd also have a number of our graduates working in the tourism business. in marketing and tourism, but also with like our own kind of board Fáilte and Fáilte Ireland here, promoting Ireland, but in lots of different regions abroad as well. I've kind of touched on the kind of industry, so business, just the variety of roles, because as I said, we're an EMEA headquarters, which means we're European headquarters for so many businesses that have based their European headquarters here because we're English speaking, but it creates a huge demand for language skills where you can liaise then with lots of different European our counterparts in European countries. I thought I would I know we're keeping an eye on time, but I thought I'd just highlight as well a few roles in addition. The translator and interpreter roles, there's always great interest from our graduates in those type of positions, always in high demand and excellent opportunities with really competitive salaries. I thought I'd just mention this as just an example of the type of careers kind of talks and events that takes place. On the 7th of February, we have a talk from some current translators who are working in the EU Commission, and they're going to give a talk to UCD students about a career as a translator, so you can learn a little bit about that. So they're the type of events you can look forward to when you join. And we would have, like, the UN would hire translators in New York and Geneva, and obviously UN Commission, or sorry, the EU Commission would always be about hiring as well. So lots of opportunities if that's a particular area that you're interested as well. I think the diplomatic service is a good one to mention. There are excellent opportunities there. And again, if you are interested in marrying your language skills and an interest in public sector or EU roles, fantastic opportunities there. Department of Foreign Affairs would hire every year. Having language skills, because you have to rotate to like 4 different international regions at least throughout your career. So obviously the languages is really, really important. Great opportunities as well with our Irish Aid, obviously in Irish government departments, and then lots of different government think tanks, such as the IIEA, that's the International and European Affairs. So having language skills in those type of roles is going to be golden, to rob a quote. Starting salaries there, almost 40k, so 38,000, and they're the graduate entry routes at administrative level for government, and then third secretary is Department of Foreign Affairs. And again, don't worry, all of this might seem like so much information, but we run lots of different information sessions on these type of careers throughout your time in UCD, so you'll have plenty of time to immerse yourself in this kind of information. And then of course, lots of students come to UCD to study languages and linguistics because they're really interested in the education sector. So interested in working, teaching a foreign language in our secondary school. So maybe working as a Spanish teacher or a French teacher, working maybe in the future in third level. But also there's lots of roles available throughout the university sector in Ireland, because there's lots of really interesting roles in, you have to think of the different departments that interact and deal with students. So UCD Global here would hire and have, I suppose, a great interest in people with language skills, liaising with lots of our international students that come here. So that's just one example. I know there's some graduates working in our Applied Language Centre and UCD Global as well. And then just briefly, just to mention, I know you're probably hearing lots about the tech sector at the minute, some upheaval there, but we would find that most organisations, I would call it's just evening out, but most organisations will keep a graduate entry and keep that recruitment ongoing, because they always need a talent pool coming through the company. So a number of our graduates each year would be working in the tech sector, utilising their language skills, I suppose supporting, for example, Meta users or Facebook users in a different region, maybe in Italy or France or Germany or wherever it is. The same for LinkedIn. Huge opportunities in their graduate programs. I touched on the Irish companies. They're just at a glance. Some of the companies, I suppose, that would liaise with us a lot to promote their language, their graduate opportunities, and a key interest in language students. I have the education sector there again. And localization, so you mightn't maybe know much about this, be familiar with this, but Ireland is a big centre at the moment for gaming companies. So it's been huge growth in that space, where a lot of gaming companies have set up their EMEA, so the European headquarters here. And they have generated a number of roles they're called localization roles, which it means they need people to, I suppose, use their language and cultural awareness and linguistic skills to localize, you know, the training materials and the instructions for different products, and localize that to a particular market, because there's lots of differences between, you know, how you might liaise with somebody in an American market or a French market compared to the Irish market. There's a huge growth in those type of roles, and a really interesting space for lots of our graduates. So just at a glance there, a few interesting roles. I had a quick look on LinkedIn, what some of our recent alumni are doing. So if you have a look, or if you have access to LinkedIn, it might be something you're using much yet, but you will develop that in your university time at university. And you can see we have someone, trainee translator, a few people there you can see working in Twitter, assistant at EU movements, the EU roles. You can see the education and then the marketing space as well. And then I just included, yeah, some of our I can't see what my toolbar there is. I think it's Sophie, and I can't see the other person. My toolbar is hovering over that. I thought I'd leave the last word then to the general manager, so Chris in jobs.ie. Jobs.ie is a busy Irish recruitment or jobs platform, advertising lots of graduate positions each year, as well as professional roles for experienced hires. I suppose just emphasising again that message around the value of the language skills, and how it can really add and help you compete in that busy graduate market. So a language competency there, he's saying, can be a real differentiator between you and maybe another candidate. It's an invaluable asset to Irish businesses, because as we know, we do so much business with so many other different international regions. So I think it is something that if it's something you really enjoy, that you're passionate about, that you're curious and you really enjoy that study, then it's going to be, I think the only role for you then is exploring the variety of career options that are available to you and you can do that over your time studying with us. So I hope you found just that brief overview useful, and has maybe sparked some interest in a few areas you haven't considered. And now I'm looking forward to hearing from some of our current students and graduates to hear a little bit about their experience studying at UCD and what they've done since they have left. So I'll hand over. Sharing my screen.
Hello. I guess I'm the first. So hello, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to share my thoughts and my experience here at UCD. My name is Marluce. I am from Brazil, and I've been living in Ireland for 9 years. I am now in the second year of Italian and Spanish. I'm really happy about the opportunity to be studying at UCD, in one of the top universities in Ireland. It welcomes hundreds of international students. And as an immigrant, I do feel welcomed and embraced by UCD and also by other students. UCD has competent tutors prepared to teach these immigrants or any kinds of backgrounds. And many of the tutors are natives of the languages you'll be learning, so you will be more confident, and they really understand also how to teach students from different languages, different nations, and also Irish, of course. They are there to help you. They are always willing to help you if you need to in class by email or by appointment. If you reach them out, they really are interested in see your improvement and your learning. The classes are in small groups, so it makes easier to interact with other students and also with the tutors. The participation, it's easier. You can also take another language, which is really good as an elective. So you can finish your course knowing at least 2, but 3 languages as well, which will improve your curriculum and of course your languages skills. There's a good thing about UCD as well. The students organized the societies. There are so many types and you can join many of them. And there are the societies that are Italian languages, Spanish languages, and you can meet students from these places, and you can also practice your language skills with other students who are also learning in a more informally and joyfully way, playing or having a tea or going out with your fellow students. I love the environment at UCD, the number of space available to read, to study. You can also take some exercise, go to the gym and find a way to relax from your studies. I chose first modern languages because it allows you to learn a language from scratch. I had no Spanish, I had no Italian at all. And now I can say that I can understand, I can talk, I'm happy with the coursework, and all the students are coming with me, they're in the same level, and which is being really, really good. And as well, the modern languages allows you to go to do Erasmus. And actually this type of languages of taking one or 2 languages from scratch, I opt for UCD especially because the others university didn't allow you to do that. So this is a big differential and extra points for UCD. So students can do Erasmus. This was really good to me and very interesting at first, but I changed it for joint honors this semester because of personal problems, financial situation. As a mature student, I opt to change. So I will finish my course in 3 years instead of 4, which was really good from UCD. They really understand my situation and I change it very easily. They are very flexible, and they can also allow me to change my mind again if I can. So these were the major highlights, the ideas that I chose modern language because of that. The teachers are great. You have many cultural and historical modules that can prepare you before you go to do Erasmus in the countries you are learning the languages. So you be prepared for that. That's really good. And yeah, I think that's it from me. I really recommend you studying languages at UCD.
Do we have our next speaker here? Yumi, are you here? Otherwise, we just go one further. Oshin, do you want to continue?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Hi everyone, I'm Oshin. I am in my final semester of a BA in Linguistics and Mathematics, and that's DN 520. And I did do an Erasmus. I did it in Augsburg, Germany, and that's where I'm going to start the talk. So without a doubt, 4 years of studying here, the highlight was going on exchange for a full year. After 2 years of COVID and doing absolutely nothing at home, I decided, you know what, let's go abroad. And I couldn't have been happy with my decision. It was the best year of my life, without a doubt. I had so much fun. I got to learn so much about other cultures. I got to live in a foreign country by myself, no parents, nothing else. I was the ruler of my own destiny. It was lovely. But I think the best part of Erasmus is you learn a lot about yourself. I'm much more confident now. I'm much more self-aware. And when I went, I was still a bit of a teenager. And I think now that I'm home, I'm a little bit more of an adult and I know what I want to do with my life. And I don't think you get that if you stay at home. And that's why this school, I think, is a lot better than other ones in the university. It has the best offerings and chances of you going abroad. So if that sounds interesting to you, which I think it should sound interesting to everyone because it's amazing, this school really offers you a lot of support and a lot of choice as to where to go. And while you're there, if you have any problems, they're always there to help, which is a really, really, really nice, means you can go nice and comfortable when you get over there. And the second highlight for me is the faculty in the linguistics department. I'm doing linguistics and maths, but the maths can go away. Linguistics is the best thing ever. And that is really helped by the faculty. When you come into college, you have your teachers in school and, they're pretty normal. But when you come into college and you think of a professor, these incredibly intelligent, can't really communicate type people is the stereotype that there are. And this couldn't be further from the truth. The lecturers in the linguistics department are so down to earth, so friendly, so chill, really professional, and really good teachers. And that really adds to your experience in college, because if you're going to a lecture and you're excited, it's going to be a much more enjoyable time in college. And the last question I'm going to answer is the one at the bottom of the screen there. And that's, what did I know about linguistics before I came in, and what are my major takeaways? So as you all know, you can't really do linguistics in school. And so I kind of stumbled across it on YouTube, a few YouTube videos, and then I read a book called The Language Instinct by Steven Pinker. And I thought, you know what, why not? Feck it, I'm going to jump in and try it. So, and 3 years later, I'm so glad I did that, because I think it's the most interesting subject, because we all speak all the time and we don't think about it. So here's a little experiment. I'm going to say a random sentence now, and an idea is going to be transformed from my head to your head. So, pink gorillas served me gelato yesterday. That's a random thought, and you now can visualize that in your head. To me, that is fascinating. Like, how does that work? How can I translate these ideas into my head into sound waves, and then you translate them back into ideas? That is a fascinating process. And I think that's my biggest takeaway, is that just the curiosity around you, and everyone speaks every day, and just get curious about why they're saying a certain thing a certain way. So that's all from me, and I'm going to hand you over to Eve.
Hi everyone, thank you, Oisín. You're making me realize why I like linguistics as well. So me and Oisín would actually be course mates. We're not in the same course, so I'm in DN 531, which is basically a humanities pathway, and it's like a specialized track, which I'll talk about later how it differs from other programs. So I study languages, linguistics, and cultures. My major would be in French. I did study a bit of Italian in first year, and surprisingly, I have kept a bit of it somehow. But I did change, and you have to kind of narrow it down and pick your language then. But you keep linguistics up all the way through. Definitely what I've said here, my favorite thing about it is definitely flexibility of the program. In third year, it's kind of a blank canvas. You decide how you spend the third year. If your priority is studying, that's great. You can do it abroad. I think you can stay in UCD for a semester and do a research project. My priority was getting professional experience. So I did 1 semester studying at the University of Lille in France, which was really cool. It's just at the border of Belgium, so we could take like a Flixbus, really cheap bus tickets up to Belgium and the Netherlands and Germany and back to Paris. It was really, really cool. I still have a lot of friends from abroad. And afterwards, the next semester, I was just having a great time in France. So I was really lucky, and I got an internship in copywriting in Deezer, like a music streaming app like Spotify. The internship was actually in English copywriting, which kind of shows how broad the degree is. Like, it's, people ask, what are you going to do with linguistics and languages, linguistics, cultures, but you can go into so many different fields. I've studied digital storytelling this semester, which really complements the study of the course. So you have like a lot of broad transferable skills. So that internship was amazing. I got to make contacts and get a lot of practical skills after, you know, like a theoretical framework was laid down. But I would definitely say that's my favorite thing about the program is the flexibility and the options afterwards. I really like writing and journalism, and that's something I'd like to change to. I think it's a really good BA, a bachelor's undergrad. If you want to do further studies, you can kind of transfer disciplines a little bit. So I'd kind of like to go into communications, and it seems like a BA in linguistics is a good kind of groundwork for that. You study so many different things. Like, people think, my family don't really know what I study, but when they think I study French, they think I sit in a grammar class all day. It really isn't the case. You know, you study philosophy and literature and current affairs, articles. You do grammar, of course, which is a shock to the system. If anyone's doing French, it's going to be tough. I definitely start listening to podcasts and whatever you can do. But it's really, really flexible. I'd say there's something in it for everyone. I've done some electives throughout my degree as well. A small amount. I did global justice for fun during the pandemic, and it was really, really great. So what else did I want to say? So why did I choose to study the program in languages, linguistics and cultures? I loved French. I knew I was going to study French. I didn't know with what. I was always fascinated by language, and I think that's definitely, if you're interested by language, you know, I think it's a great reason to do the course. But I did see in the prospectus books, I was looking at courses, and I saw a graduate, I can't remember her name or exactly the quote, but it was something like, studying a language, French or German or whatever, teaches us the what we say, and linguistics teaches us why and how we say it. So I just thought that was immediately, I knew I'd love the course, and I have ever since. And what makes this program different from others? There are a few key differences which I think are definitely important to consider. And maybe I can try and find the links to different courses just to check out the modules. But I think modern languages, maybe Shifa or someone else can answer afterwards, you have to go away for the whole year. So the BA track in Humanities Language, LLC as we call it, you have a very flexible year, so you decide kind of how you spend it. Whereas other programs at UCD in languages, you'd have to maybe go abroad for the year in a certain place. I don't know if the internship would be for every single program. Also, a few modules would be a bit different. So for example, me and Oisín were in, so Oisín is art, so with the linguistics, and I'm in this track, and it's like a specialized track all put together. So we had a class together in second language acquisition, research and teaching, kind of like applied linguistics, but we wouldn't share any linguistics modules this semester. So for this course, it's like a specially curated course. Like people, I don't know, the program directors have sat down and thought like what subjects would complement each other the best way, and how like these three things, languages, linguistics and cultures, how do they intersect? So you'd be pre-registered sometimes to some modules. So I'd really recommend looking into that. They do change from year to year, but I would definitely recommend looking into that. And again, like first year, I did study a bit of Italian, but you do have to select which major you pick. So I knew it was going to be French, but you do have to drop your language. But that's all for me anyways. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name's Dominic. I studied German and Geography at UCD up until 2019 when I graduated. So I've been out of UCD, sadly, for a couple of years now. And in the time then, I went on to do a master's, and I'm now teaching German in the UK. But from my experience of UCD, it's absolutely amazing. And, you know, the best part about UCD is that you don't just study a language like grammar and things like that. You do that, but not just. And it's about, you know, literature, film, poetry, philosophy. Like it was said before, you look at all those things together with a language, what makes a language, and it sort of shapes how you see the world and how you think. And for me, that was the best part of studying languages at UCD. It's just incredible. I honestly cannot recommend it enough. So for anyone thinking about doing languages at UCD, definitely, having done it myself, you know, I cannot recommend it enough. And just to answer that question at the bottom, I went on my year abroad to Würzburg down in south of Germany, and it was absolutely incredible. The opportunities you get are just amazing. You know, you're sort of shipped off to a foreign country for a year, and you have to provide for yourself, and that's amazing. You sort of do feel like you go over a child and you come back an adult, because it does make you very independent. But it also, you know, you make connections and friendships for a lifetime. I'm still in touch with people I met in 2017 on my year abroad, and it opened up opportunities for me that I didn't know I would have. You know, I never considered doing a master's in the UK until I met some people on my year abroad, and actually that opened up certain opportunities for me that mean I am here where I am right now, and I never would have thought possible. You know, my plan was always to go back to UCD, do my master's and teach in Ireland, and little did I know that that wasn't going to be the case at all, simply because of the people that I've met and the connections I've made on my year abroad. And like I say, you know, it's a wonderful opportunity, because you don't only get to practice the language. So in my case, it wasn't just practicing German, but it was making those connections, seeing how everyday life happens in Germany, putting that into context, and then applying what we've learned in the classroom. You know, sometimes you might wonder, what's the point of learning 18th century literature or 19th century literature? But actually, when you go over and you're abroad, and it all makes sense. It all, the pieces fall into place, and it all makes absolute sense when you see how people interact with each other, how they think. You know, you get to see it in architecture, you get to see it in art and things around you, and it's just incredible to put it all together. So definitely, if you do get a chance, I would wholeheartedly recommend going on a year abroad anywhere, because it opens up so many opportunities for you. And yeah, you know, having been through that road of studying languages at UCD, it's definitely a great choice that you'll be making. So I fully recommend it, and I'll pass you on over to Jason.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jason, and I did linguistics and information and social computing back in the day in 2017. It was under the joint honors, so I definitely was not even thinking about linguistics when I started. I was going to do sociology and just information and social computing, but I dropped sociology in favor of linguistics, and honestly, I am gagged. I am so obsessed with the course. I am currently the digital marketing executive for Catapult, a global company with offices in LA, New York, and Dublin, as well as in London. One of my highlights, my absolute highlights for the course, is getting to immerse myself in the various aspects of language acquisition. I think coming in, like, I had an idea of what linguistics was going to be, and it was very limited. But having like done research and actually sitting down with the modules, it's so broad. And I know you're going to come out of the course as an all-rounder for all the things that you didn't even know that you could acquire. So I had modules in intercultural communication, you know, being bilingual and having that cultural exchange. I had modules in phonology, knowing how we produce sounds, how we communicate, modules in world Englishes, knowing the difference in a certain type of English, and also the difference in that culture exchange. And then also in semantics and syntax, that word structure, that sentence synthesis, as well as in language acquisition in children, you know, how the brain works, the theory behind it, why we communicate, how we acquire the language to begin with. It is so broad and so rich. And to top those things off, I just was met with the most wonderful lecturers ever. I could still name them, like Dr. Luchek for World Englishes, Sandrine Peralty, Maureen Kiusan for phonology, Fergal Murphy for language acquisition, people that just cultivated such a learning experience and such a rich, diverse pool of how you can explore the language and linguistics in itself. And especially someone who is queer, who's an immigrant, it was so important for me to have a space where I could fully just immerse myself in the languages and in the cultures and in the teachings without having to worry about the differences in and how I speak or how I would want to learn more. And I think, ultimately that led me to as well being a student ambassador for the Athena Swan Charter for Linguistics, which champions gender equality within the school, which is, I think, super, super amazing. But yeah, at the end there, question is, how did I study linguistics, and how did that influence my career to be in digital marketing? I honestly think that what drove me to being in my position and being hired ultimately was that they saw linguistics in my CV and how the differences in that like cultural exchange and that like the language synthesis and understanding how to communicate with people was so important. Because in any job you can be so skilled, but at the end of the day, we're going to be working with other people, and we're going to be learning more about so many things that isn't just niche to you. And I think linguistics really, really helped me just tap into that and explore more culturally, and in terms of like language and language acquisition as well. Yeah, I think that also influenced my career in events, because I like to talk a lot, but also I like to absorb a lot as well. So I think linguistics would be for you if you're one of those people that just want to explore and understand more about the world. But yeah, short and sweet. Thank you so much for listening. Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone. Shifa, do you want to take over again?
Yeah, thanks. I've been madly trying to answer some of your questions online in writing. So I'm going to stop now, and I just wonder if we could maybe go through some of the threads that have come through there. I haven't answered all of them. There's a great deal of interest coming through in our new BA in education, which is a really exciting degree that starts next September, and a lot of our students tonight have talked about inclusivity. One of the reasons why we designed this new BA in education is that it means you can now do a teaching degree as an undergrad, which you weren't able to do in Ireland until now, which is really exciting, certainly not in UCD. And we're really excited about it because it lets our students be teachers after their 4 years at UCD. What it does mean is it's quite an intense degree. Either students will take a modern language, let's say German, with Irish, or they'll take 2 modern languages. And that's really fascinating, because it means then you come out, say we have a lot of interest coming from people who are of, for example, Brazilian, as it happens, extract. So their family is maybe Brazilian, maybe they've grown up speaking Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese at home, and they want to be able to teach Brazilian in a school in future. So that's the kind of cohort that we're just so excited to facilitate. And it means they can come in, they can do a degree in, say, French and Portuguese and education, and then they will go out and teach afterwards. So it is a very exciting degree. I was asked there, do you spend the full 3rd year abroad? No. The interesting thing is, because you've got so many units to do, not just in your 2 languages, but also in education, there literally isn't time to go abroad for a year. So you would spend 1 trimester abroad. Say you're doing let's go back to French. You go to France or one of our French destinations, university destinations, say Montreal or Paris or Bordeaux or wherever, for 1 trimester. Then you would go to, let's say you're doing Portuguese, you would then go to Portugal for a period of study, presumably targeted study, which is organized by us in the summer. So that's how it would work. So you would go to your 2 destinations, but you would end up spending a little bit less time than what you've heard about from our from somebody like Oisín, for example, who was very, very vocal about his wonderful year abroad. And it's great to hear these experiences. This is what makes college for people, whether you go abroad or not. It's what's brilliant for you. For some people, it's literally getting the opportunity to be at college and to study. For others, it's this amazing kind of, as he said, moment of getting to know yourself and getting to know who you are and what you want in life. So are there any outstanding questions that I haven't answered yet? I've been asked here about, there's a lovely question at the end, for example, that just came through. What is a typical day of lectures like, as in what would ours be like? There's no typical day, is there? I mean, you'll have your schedule. Every student who is here today will have had a schedule, but then there might be group work. You might have to meet up with students and kind of try and schedule that in. There might be project. You might be working late in the library or late at home in front of your computer trying to write an essay, or you might be doing group project work online. There's no typical day in college, is there really? You do learn timetabling skills. You have to timetable yourself, but typically you will have lectures 4 to 5 days a week. They'll be dotted around the timetable in arts in particular, so it can be kind of a funny one. But you know, it's you get used to it. It's part of the college experience. I'm looking another.
Oh, I was just wondering if Jason wants to say something. Just if you want to skip in everyone about your experience, go for it and let us know firsthand how it is.
Sure. I also just wanted to add, like, onto Shifra, I was able to keep a job with linguistics, just how it was laid, if you were thinking about that, you know, like if how it was laid out, like if you mixed and matched like your modules and your tutorials as well, if you just have like a certain set of days that you can come into college, you can even keep a job on the side and make like a little bit of coin, you know.
Or cover your rent. It's thank you, Jason. That's really helpful. I mean, our students, as you know, we all have accommodation problems in Dublin at the moment. So a lot of our students spend a lot of time commuting, or they pay for petrol, or they have to have a job to pay for their basic rent and electricity, which is really, really tough. But it is a brilliant investment, and I know everybody who's here tonight has struggled through that and come out the other end. And it's such an important investment in yourself. So thanks, Jason. That's a really helpful comment. Any other, Michelle, I was going to bring you in if I could. There was a question I don't think I can answer. It's the very first question up the top. Or sorry, third question, I think it is. Would taking a financial or business elective be advisable to get easier employment?
Yeah, like, and I suppose if you're interested in maybe working in financial services or banking, having an elective in that space on your CV might be an advantage. But I think the thing to remember with the graduate programs, which are a really popular way for companies to hire students or people when they're finished their degree, is that they provide an awful lot of training. So I wouldn't say that, you know, you must do it. If it's an area that you're really interested in, it could add an extra talking point. But what I would say is, if you're really interested in finance banking, yes, if you see something, or even get involved in societies like Entrepreneur and Investors, that kind of thing. But it's not a must, because the graduate programs they're basically an extension of university, because they provide a lot of training. So that's what I would say.
Thanks, Michelle. That's really helpful. We got a good question here too about if studying 2 modern languages in the new BA in education degree, do you still do a placement in primary school in first year? And my response is there are compulsory education placements in this BA in education degree. If you want more detail on that, for the education side of it, you should probably just drop an email into the School of Education. There's and they'll answer that. They'll give you details on the exact placements. But yeah, the education element of the degree is very much, it's a full degree in education, which is why that will be a very busy timetable talking about timetabling and subject management. Just to remind you, all our students here tonight, they came from a range of degrees. So don't forget that there's a 3-year BA, and Marluce talked about that she's doing now a 3-year BA, and she will come out with a full BA in 2 languages, which is a fantastic degree. Then you heard from her about the BA International in Modern Languages, where students are guaranteed to spend a whole year abroad on what we call Erasmus. It's basically a year abroad in a different university in a foreign country. So say you go on Erasmus to Italy, you could spend a year in, for example, the University of Florence, and you'd be studying with Italian students, but you'd be the Erasmus student. And there's always a group of wonderful Erasmus students over there. It's an amazing experience, as we heard from Oisín. So there's the BA International in Modern Languages, which is 4 years. We also heard from some of our students who took, for example, the pathways under the BA Humanities, which is a 4 years degree, and there are specific specialized pathways. Eve, for example, talked about her pathway, which is languages, cultures, and languages, linguistics, and cultures. Okay, so there are many different degrees and programs that we cover. We just heard that we're adding in the BA in education. So that's another degree. We also, in our school, we have BCommerce international students. So students who sign up for commerce and they take one language with us as well. So we have all sorts of students from all sorts of programs. And then we also have students, for example, from across the university who decide to do languages as a structured elective. So we literally teach all sorts of programs and degrees. So if you have any questions about those specific choices and you're kind of wondering, well, what can I do with my languages, or how much to what other subject do I want to study with languages, look at all the prospectuses, talk to your career advice teachers, also contact us, email us in the school, and we can give out more advice as well. We might take one last question. I'll just take the one. Melanie very kindly has just put in our email address into the chat, so do have a look at that. I'll take this last question. If I want to study linguistics and Italian, how should I know which course is right for me? And that's a really big question. The difference between them is the length of the course and the opportunity to study abroad. All of them offer these two subjects, linguistics and a language. Yeah, and that's why I would say think about it. First of all, do you want to do a 3-year or a 4-year degree? The 4-year degree normally includes that year abroad. Okay, there could be financial implications, or you might be in a rush to go off and do something else in life. Who knows? People do those degrees for different reasons. If you want to go on a year abroad, there are possibilities of not going on Erasmus, but instead competing for one of those teaching places where you actually go abroad and teach in a school, in the school system. For example, you might go teach French in a French school, or French in a Belgian school, or German in an Austrian school. That opportunity also exists within the international programs. So just come to UCD and start asking questions. The one takeaway I'd give you for tonight is that the more questions you can ask, the better. And just to finish on that note, do email us for questions. Okay, if you have any further questions. It was really nice seeing everybody tonight. We're not going to go over the hour. This is what we stick to, an hour. So thank you everyone for coming in. Please send us your emails, send us your queries. Thanks to Michelle from the UCD Careers Network. Thanks to Melanie for sorting everything tonight. And thanks a million to Dominic, to Eve, to Jason, to Oisin, and to Marluce for their brilliant stories. Nothing like hearing the genuine enthusiasm of our students. This is why we love doing what we do. And I think they enjoy doing what they do as well. So thank you, everybody else. And good night. And we look forward to seeing you here in the autumn.